In this video, we're going over this amp, which is JCM 800 2205. So if that sounds cool, stick around because we're getting right into it. Hey everyone, Eric here. Welcome to the channel where I make gear demos and instructional videos aimed to help musicians like you. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel. Check out all the other videos I have here. And if you want to follow me on a daily basis and interact with me a little bit more, you can always head on over to Instagram and follow me at Eric Merrow. So, this is my new to me JCM 800. This model in particular is one of the lesser known models. It's a 2205. And before we get into the features of this amp, I did want to go over the different models of JCM 800 because over the years there have been a few different versions of the JCM 800. The most notable ones that you probably think of are the single channel versions, which are models 2203 and 2204. Now 2203 is the 100 watt single channel JCM 800, while the 2204 is the 50 watt version of the single channel JCM 800. Then we switch over to the dual channels, which is this. This is a 2205, which is a dual channel, 2 channels. It's a 50 watt version. And there's also a model 2210, which is a 100 watt version of this amp. It's a 2 channel 100 watt. So let's briefly go over the differences in the 2205 compared to the single channel versions. Most notably, there are 2 foot switchable channels. On top of that, we have an effects loop in the 2205, so we can use time-based effects after the gain section. A lot of people like doing that to keep their reverbs and their delays clean. So the 2205 gives you an effects loop, it gives you the 2 channels. We also have an added spring reverb tank, which we can control with the reverb knob on the front of the amp. We also have a line out, a DI output on the back of the amp with the DI level control. And now that could be useful in live settings if you wanted to send your signal to the front of house or another monitor maybe, as well as being useful in recording so you can, mic your cab and then send a DI to a board or a cabinet simulator or something like that, just getting multiple streams of your signal with just one amp. So if we jump into the features of the amp, you can see over here on the left side of the panel, we have 3 master controls. We have presence, volume, and reverb. This is different from the single channel versions because the dual channel versions have a spring reverb tank in the amp. Our volume will be our overall master volume output for the amp. So we have 2 independent channel volumes. We'll get to those a little bit later, but this is the master output volume. And then we have a master presence, so the presence affects both channels. As I mentioned before, we do have 2 different channels. One is labeled the normal channel, and it has a simplified control set. So on the normal channel, which lives over here on the right side of the panel, we have bass, treble, and volume, which means we have that simplified EQ set of just bass and treble, so we have no mid-range control. And then our volume sets, so I think of this control as a gain control more than a volume control, because we're driving the preamp section harder with the normal channel's volume control. So I actually haven't played a 100 watt 2203 or a 50 watt 2204, which is the single channel version of this amp. But to my ears, from what I think those amps sound like, this normal channel gets closer to the traditional JCM 800 sound, because it's a little more open and it's a little more bright and aggressive sounding compared to the boost channel, which we'll go into here in a second. So moving on away from the normal channel, we also have the boost channel, which is right in the middle here. And notably, in these dual channel JCM 800s, Marshall was looking to give guitar players more gain, because the traditional use of the JCM 800 was high gain application. So with these amps, they aim to make these amps more friendly. You know, you wouldn't need a boost pedal to drive into the front of it, because this amp would give you as much gain as you want. There are some circuit tweaks. I think they added some diodes, some clipping diodes, and other things that make these amps sound different, because they are a different signal path than the traditional, or not the traditional, the more popular single channel versions. So these amps do sound significantly different from the single channel versions. To my ears, the boost channel on the JCM 800 2205, it seems a little bit darker, a little bit more mid-rangey, and a little less present, a little less aggressive, but it has a lot more gain and saturation. So in this boost channel, we have bass, middle, and treble. So that's the traditional JCM 800 tone stack. And then we have a volume control for the channel, as well as a gain control, which is different from that normal channel, because on the normal channel, we only had a volume control, and it was really pretty much a gain control. Pro tip, in order to change the channels on this amp, you actually have to have a single button foot switch that you plug into the foot switch jack on the back. And if you don't have one, like me, you can always improvise and make your own. So I've got a 1/4-inch jack right here, and I've got an alligator clipped to a pickup selector. So, you know, whenever I have it in the middle, I believe that is the boost channel, or maybe clean. And then whenever I disconnect the path, that gives me the second channel. So that's how I'm switching in this video. It does have a 1/4-inch jack on the back for a foot switch. So if you have a foot switch that you like to use, you can always use it with this amp. The 2205 JCM 800 as well as the 2210 are probably the more rare JCM 800s. They're not as popular as the single channel versions, the 2204 and 2203 of course, but this is a pretty cool amp and I really enjoy it. I like the tonal versatility that you can get. Like I said, there are some darker sounds in this amp, and for this video I've been running it into my universal audio aux. And I've been using mostly the greenback 412 option. And one thing I've found is, especially on the boost channel, there's not a whole bunch of like high-end presence. If I wanted to, I would probably flip over to, on my rig dial here, number 2 is a vintage 30 cab. So if I switch to a vintage 30, which is a little more trebly speaker, I get some more of that aggression and that high end. But traditionally, I like the greenback, so I stuck with that through the whole video. I really dig this amp. I would love to know what you thought about it in the comments below. So let me know in the comments below what you thought about the 2205. Would you get this amp or would you go with the single channel version? Let me know that in the comments below too. My goal is in the future to collect these because I just love the JCM 800s. You know, my favorite guitar player is Fred Mascherino from Taking Back Sunday and Breaking Pangea, and he always used an SG into the 2203 version. So I've always wanted a 2203. Hopefully I'll be able to get that in the future, but I'm really digging the 2205, and you know, again, let me know what you thought in the comments below. Before I get out of here, I want to send a huge thank you to these folks right over here who are my executive producers for my Patreon page. I really appreciate all the support and I cannot thank you enough, so thank you so much for the support. If you'd like to learn more about Patreon, I will leave a link in the description below. Thank you for watching. I hope you're doing well, I hope you're staying safe, and I will see you in the next video.